This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit temptationstreats.com to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. 3 couples, 4 vacations, a lot to unpack. Watch The 4 Seasons, a new series starring comedy favorites Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Will Forte, Coleman Domingo, and more in a hilarious and heartfelt love letter to long-term relationships. Based on the original Alan Alda film. Watch The 4 Seasons, May 1st, only on Netflix.
Have you heard of Olivia, the travel company for lesbians and LGBTQ plus women? You know what they say. Life is short and the world is wide. And when you're a lesbian or LGBTQ plus woman, you want to be able to go on vacation, have some fun, and be yourself. Olivia Travel creates full takeovers of their cruise, resort, riverboat, and adventure vacations, so you can relax and be completely yourself. Olivia also provides the entertainment, bringing comedians and musicians from within our community. Traveling by yourself? No problem. Olivia has a robust solos program so you can travel independently, together. Single, coupled, or in a group, you'll meet amazing LGBTQ plus women who come from all walks of life yet have so much in common. Join the thousands of Olivians who travel to bucket list destinations all over the world. It's life-changing to be in the majority on your own vacation. Discover Olivia for yourself at olivia.com today.
I think I just typed in like Ginger's Bar into Spotify, and then I was like, oh, there's cruising. So I was listening to it and everything and followed, and I was like, oh, one day I would love to like have something to talk to you about.
This is one of our 2 guests today, I'm Baby, a dyke drag queen who hosts an event called Dyke Drag, a Brooklyn drag show by dykes for dykes. And throughout this episode, we're going to cover multiple iterations of this concept of dyke drag. The first of which started in the 90s with a Ptown local named Denise Gaylord. Denise's Dyke Drag was an annual event where Ptown dykes would basically experiment with gender expression and get together over brunch in drag. Decades later, I'm Baby would start their show of the same name, and eventually the pair would come together over their shared passion for dyke drag. We're going to hear from both of them in this episode, so you have to make sure you stick around for Denise's interview in Act 2 if you want the full story. But first, we'll hear from I'm Baby, who is actually the reason I went to Ptown for Women's Week in the first place, and thus why we have so many of the stories that we do for this season. I had never heard of Women's Week before I'm Baby pitched us a story on Dyke Drag. They were one of the first to respond to our call for story ideas last year. And thanks to them, the rest of the season kind of fell into place from there.
You're saying, hey, pitch some stories, anything if you want to be on the podcast. So I just think that the story of us going to Ptown to do Dyke Drag brunch is such a incredible story. And yeah, I thought you might love it. I realize now in my older age that my mom is pretty unconventional, the things that she exposed me to as a kid. For somebody who's so sheltering, she's like, you can't leave the house, but here's Tu Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. And we can watch it every day, And she's like, that's the drag queen. And I'm like, okay, this is my favorite movie. I love it. Obsessed.
So how old are you?
I was probably maybe 5 or 6. I was a little one.
Is your mom gay?
No.
She's just really cultured.
She just, I don't know. She had a gay cousin that was her favorite. She just knew gay people.
Yeah.
I mean, she grew up in New York City in the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Okay, yeah.
She's
so cultured.
Yeah.
And where did you grow up?
I grew up right outside the city. They moved out of the city right before I was born. I grew up in redacted New York now, Middletown.
Redacted New York.
Yeah, they don't deserve my me to mention them on mic.
That's so funny.
I mean, I spent a lot of time in the city as a kid because my grandma still lived down here. We were down here a lot. I wasn't quite a city kid, and I wasn't quite a suburbs kid, so I was a loner, if you can imagine. And so that was definitely my first exposure to drag. And then when I was a teenager, maybe I just started college and stuff, I was at my mom's friend's house and they were talking. I was like, I'm going to just watch TV. Scrolling through the channels and I find RuPaul's Drag Race. I said, Diva, what's this? And then I was like old enough that I could like go out in the city. So we would go like stay at my grandma's in the Bronx and then like go to the Village to go to see drag shows.
What was your like feeling
kitchen.
about it? Like from the time that you're seeing To Wong Fu, did it feel like something that you were supposed to be a part of? What was your connection to it?
I just was like, I don't know, the control and like the purposefulness of being beautiful was something that like I never felt like I had. So I was so amazed by like the extraness. Like, I don't know, people always thought I was like a little much, but even though I feel like I was just like chilling.
Yeah.
And so to like see people lean into that like extravagance, the being extra and being like, yes, bitch, I'm here. Like, I just feel like I admired that so much. I connected to that in such a way, but I still was like, oh, not me. Like people who were like, oh yeah, I used to like practice Britney Spears dance moves in my house. I'm like, oh, I didn't even like think that I could. I was like, I can never be like that. You know, like I can never be these people. Expressing myself was not like something that I felt like I could do really. I felt like I had to just like try to take up as little space as possible, which even when I was trying not to, like I still was standing out and I didn't really have a group to fit into because one day I would dress like emo and I did love emo music and I was like, I'm emo. But then the next day I would come in like in all pink with like puffs in my hair. And then the next day I would come in and be like, just something completely different.
Well, it's hard when like you're trying to balance what's actually internal and what the world wants from you.
Yeah.
Like that sounds like that was really torturing you.
Yeah, it was really complicated.
But then when you're like really into drag, you discover RuPaul's Drag Race. I mean, no one that looks like you is doing it.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, I can just go have fun and see it. And it's like amazing to be around. And, you know, I go into that space and I can wear my, you know, all pink outfit and they're like, okay. And then, so I saw drag for a few years. August of 2018, I am moving to New York City. Came home, I said, I'm doing this. So on February 21st, Rihanna's birthday, or unless her birthday's the 20th, I'm so sorry.
But you were celebrating.
I was celebrating Rihanna's birthday. And I went to the Rosemont. They were doing a, you know, Rihanna birthday show. And Kat Wilderness was there, and she is a drag performer from Miami. She's incredible. And I had like followed her on Twitter. We had like talked a little bit on Twitter and she was in town. So I was like, oh, I want to go see her. And it was Rihanna's birthday. So I went there and after the show, I was like, I kind of want to do drag. And she goes, okay, I'm going to be performing here on Friday. You should just come and drag. And I'm like, okay, yes. So I come and drag that Friday, looking a mess, of course, because that's the way you have to do it the very first time you do drag. And I walk in and it is like for the very first time, people see who I am. And oh my God. I'm
gonna actually correct you. No, take your time.
And you know, I walk in, I look crazy, and people are like, "Oh my God, you're so cute! Oh my God, who are you? Like, you're so sweet. You have like your energy is so sweet." And I'm like, "Oh my God, thank you. Like, I'm baby, and I'm baby." And
because
like,
how did you land on that?
Yeah, everybody had that meme, I'm baby, was out, and everybody was like, this is so you. And I was like, what if it was my drag name? Ha ha ha. And then when I did that, it like because I was like, where do I start? What do I look like? What do I do? With I'm baby, I'm like, oh, I'm like pink and pastels and cute and perfect. Like this helps me with the direction. So yeah, people are just like, oh my God, like you're so cute. Let's hang out, whatever. I'm like having the time of my life. And Madeline had her perform that night. And I'm like on my way out and I'm like, oh, I just wanted to let you know, like I've really always wanted to see you perform. So it was really awesome to see you tonight. And she's like, who are you? What is this? What are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm my baby. This is my very first time in drag. And yeah, I'm just here. And she's like, you're so cute. Keep doing this. Come to my show. I do an open set for new performers. You don't have to perform right away, but like, I think you should keep doing this. So it was so special to just like in that one night, just feel that like, it was just like it was the right thing for me to do. I start going to her show. I just like dress up and like, you know, I do my makeup. I have like a few wigs. I'm wearing basically like my regular clothes. And finally I'm like, okay, I'm going to perform. And then she's gone. I'm like, oh, where'd she go? She was on Dragula.
I'm imagining you were in like a lot of gay male spaces for this. I feel like such a downer, but I get sort of alarm bells when you're saying like, oh, I was being seen for the first time. I don't know if there's some sort of like status shift in drag there.
I mean, yes, but also like I never felt that way. That feeling of being accepted or seen for the first time also is just like me entering gay spaces at all. Because when I enter straight spaces, it's like I'm a hamburger. Oh my God. And it's like sickening. So, but like seen as just my soul. Like I felt like my soul was on the outside. I'm like, how am I wearing a wig, 3 pairs of lashes, 10 pairs of tights, a skirt, shoes, and for some reason, like I'm more naked than I've ever been.
Yeah.
You know, and still, I mean, there are times when like I go to bars still that I'm in drag and I'm like trying to get a drink and every other drag queen is getting their drinks, but the bartender doesn't even want to, whatever. I had somebody come up to me like, is it your birthday? I'm like, no, actually I just performed in the show. So it happens every once in a while for sure. And
but
it definitely
not overwhelmingly.
Not overwhelmingly. Not in a way that makes me feel like sick and psychotic. Before COVID, if you were a lesbian who liked drag, you had to choose one or the other. Like if I was going to go to like the Dyke bar, I was going to the Dyke bar. If I was going to go to see drag, I'd go see drag. There was not really in the same spaces. And one of my mentors had said to me, find where there isn't drag, where you want drag to be and try to put it there. So then I tried to like go in drag to like the woods and stuff like that. And people were so like, what's going on with you? Oh, I'm in lingerie, like with my boobs out at the lesbian bar, and y'all are
you have
like,
a problem with that?
Yeah,
like
crazy.
Okay,
after a little while people warmed up and like danced with us. It was like me and another performer, and I was like, I don't know how it's gonna work.
So the advice was not necessarily to bring a drag like official performance to
it was, but at first we were trying to like warm up. We were trying to like go to the woods and be like, hey, would you ever be interested in having like some drag performers, like just do a number or two, like just kind of seeing if we could test out how the lesbian crowd would respond to us doing drag there. And so I kind of just put the dream back in my pocket, and then COVID happened and everything. And afterward, Kayla reached out to me and said, do you want to start a drag show at Ginger's maybe? I think it'd be really nice. And I was like, oh my God, yes, I've dreamed of this. Like, totally, let's do it.
So who is Kayla and how do you know
So
her?
Kayla and I met at the Rosemont on a karaoke night. It was her birthday. She was wearing a pink dress with sparkles and everything. And I just was like, I need to know the diva in the pink outfit. And I was like, I love your pink outfit. And she was like, thank you. It's my birthday. And I was like, would anybody take pictures of you yet? And she was like, no. So we did a whole little photo shoot, and then we sang Britney Spears together. And we sang Britney Spears together. And then after that, we were just friends. We're also like some of the only femme dykes at the drag show being like, wow, it would be so great to go to the Dyke bar, but I'm not going to sacrifice seeing shows. She's like, I can help with the event planning side of it and everything. And we wrote a pitch and we sent it over to Brendan at Ginger's, and we said, fingers crossed. He said, why don't you come in? So we started our first show, and we were like, okay, if we each bring 5 people, maybe we'll have sold maybe half the tickets. And so we started saying, we announced it like, okay, we're doing a drag show called Dyke Drag at Ginger's. Tickets are on sale, like flyers coming. And I think it was like before we even really announced the flyer and everything, we were sold out. And maybe 2 hour, we sold out so fast. Like it was amazing.
Because you know what? Dykes do love drag.
Yeah.
That is a weird experience at the woods. Like I would not have expected that at all.
Well, I really think, and like, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just like BS and maybe but I think that because of TikTok, because of like queer people I just feel like the queer world like expanded in a way of like seeing each other and needing to be around each other over COVID and everything, that people were like, yeah, we should have drag in this space.
That's so true. Like the culture, first of all, so many of these people had just gotten into Drag Race over lockdown. That I know I did. And then at that time, it was like we were really coming on the cusp of, oh shoot, we need to like value these lesbian spaces. We need to open more lesbian bars and stuff. So people, and Ginger's was benefiting from that big time.
Oh yeah. And so we started Dyke Drag. And so we did February, March, April. I want to say it was like maybe March or April, Kayla was just Googling Dyke Drag just to see, anybody had written or anything. And she found a book. And the book was called Dyke Drag Brunch. And she bought the book. And inside the book were photos of people dressing up in drag in like the 90s. There was this brunch that lasted for about 8 or 9 years. The person who put the book together was Denise Gaylord. And so Kayla was like, should I Google her? We're like, yes. We find her and she's like a personal trainer at the time. And we're like, should we email her just in case she finds out about our show and gets mad that we have the same name? Maybe she'll be mad at us.
As if she would ever. First of all, as if she would ever hear about it.
Yeah. Hey, no.
No. I'm like, she's definitely not on the internet.
Yeah. No, she's really not. We send her an email being like, do you want to hop on a call or something with us? And so she sat there like so silent, just like, hi. And we just were like, so we're sorry we have the same name and then we didn't know and then we looked it up and then we found the book and then we saw all of you and it's so special to us because now we do this now and we do this here. And if you ever wanted to do this brunch again, we would love to like come up there, maybe bring it back with you. And like you could do, you could be the face of it and we could just like be there to help you. And she's like, calm, peaceful.
She's really calm.
She's like, I don't know how I can help you.
Oh my God.
But you've just awoken something in me. And we are like about to burst into tears. She's like, I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to contact some people. So she does. She like contacts different places, restaurants, like people. She's like, we just did it to have fun, to just have. And I was like, no, you did it. You made space for yourselves. Like it wasn't just like you were careless. Like you did it because you needed a space to do this and you made a space for people to feel this way. And she's like, yeah, a lot of like the people who used to dress as kings transitioned and everything now. And she's like, no, you guys are like really thinking about this while you do it. And I'm like, Denise,
you were thinking about it. You made a book.
So we were put on the roster to do brunch in October.
So was that 2022?
Yeah, not even a year into our show.
Okay, cool.
Just a few months. So, we got there and just to see like everybody's eyes light up and people coming up to us and being like, we need this. Like, this is like, you guys are the future. You're breathing new life into Ptown right now.
It actually must have been a really different scene from when I was there because everyone was saying that for the 40th anniversary, there was way more people than ever before and more young people and stuff.
Yeah, but it all started like with that time. They were like, oh my God, you guys are going to bring the young people here. Like when we drove in the first time, we drove in like at night and we like were passing by Crowd and Anchor and stuff. And they were like, people outside and we like rolled down the window to like see where we were. People are coming up to the car like, whoa, a car full of young, beautiful lesbians. Whoa. Hey, what are y'all doing? Like, you got room for one more in there? And we were like cracking up. We're like, what a hilarious welcome. We're like, no, we're good. Thanks.
That's
like, come
so
to brunch.
Funny.
Like,
oh my God. And so what you were putting on was compared to what Denise was doing, like a relatively traditional drag brunch.
Yeah. So we just were like, okay, we're just going to take the same format as our show and kind of run through it and then do a roulette at the end, like, traditional drag brunch style. But we really want to encourage people to come dressed up just like they did back then. And people are a little more shy about it now.
I 100% would have. I didn't realize.
Yeah. Right now I'm trying to revamp my drag closet. So I'm like, maybe I'll keep a few things in a box so I could take it up and be like, hey, anybody want to like grab some stuff to dress up?
Cute, yeah.
That could be really cute ideas. So it was really, really so beautiful.
Yeah.
And like right afterward, we like went to the tea dance with Denise. And I like have such a core memory. If you ever see me perform Cut to the Feeling by Carly Rae Jepsen, it was playing. And I just had one of those moments where I was like looking around and seeing like Kayla and Max and Cherry and Ruby and like my partner dancing, and then looking over and seeing like Denise and Sarah and some of the other dykes that were at the original Dyke Drag brunch, like they're dancing with us, and just really soaking in the moment how lucky we were to be there together, because there's not many spaces in New York City where you can like connect with your queer elders, and I mean that respectfully. With Dyke Drag and then Dyke Drag brunch, it's kind of hard to miss that this is really important to people. It almost has nothing to do with me. I went to school for freaking music and theater, and like I don't have any other like tangible skills, I feel like, and I just realized that I have to put my whole heart into drag, and I have to like do this. I have to dedicate my heart to it because it is something that's really special to me, and it's special to other people, and I'm really happy to be doing it.
Can you talk about the word dyke, sort of what it means to you as far as like inclusivity and why that's the term that you're landing on?
Yeah, Kayla was like, we should just call it what it is. So that people know. We don't need to make it some little frilly name. Because I was like, oh, it'd be so cute if we have a cute little name. She's like, no, we should call it Dyke Drag. And I said, okay. And the word for me, like, kind of opening my eyes to being part of the lesbian community. Like, for a long time, I didn't know if dyke was like an exclusionary term for sexuality and sense of inclusivity of trans people. And then it was brought to my attention. They're like, no, like you are a dyke. It's almost just like a way of being, like the way that you love, the way that you look, the way that you like express yourself. That is dyke. And as I started Dyke Drag and as I got to like catch up with my own history, you know, it really does feel like it's less of a sexuality and more of just like an identity of power, of being like, I unabashedly am somebody who doesn't need to conform to quote unquote society norms. And I think of like the strength of the dykes in, you know, the 80s and 90s having to be the ones to take care of the men during the AIDS crisis and taking care of each other and everything. And just how important care is, I think, as being a dyke as well. It's to be powerful and to be caring. And community-wise, I feel like I kind of built like my own idea of it into Dyke Drag with like having trans people in those spaces. And it's true, like the trans mass community sometimes struggles with being in lesbian spaces because, you know, people can be like, why are you here now still? And I'm like, what do you mean? Stop. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing by like separating our spaces so intensely? Like, yes, there needs to be spaces where people can be with just people like them, and that's great. But this is going to be for anybody who was a dyke, is a dyke, might be a dyke one day, feels comfortable around dykes. Like I'm not doing a drag show so that only a certain kind of people come. When I invite gay guys to the show, they're like, I shouldn't take up space there. And I'm like, be here. I'm inviting you.
Don't take up too much space.
But like, bring your money. Like, but
your money can take up as much space as you.
And I just really want us to be together. I don't want it to be like, oh my God, there's a gay guy here. What's he doing here? Like, no, I want to be like, okay, yeah, he's here supporting the show, or anybody's here supporting dyke art. Even performers have told me, I've tried to book and be like, I would love for you to do Dyke Drag. And they're like, I'm not a dyke, or like, I used to be a dyke, but I'm not anymore. And I'm like, okay. And some people in the audience need to know that, like, they need to see you, because some of those people in the audience are you. Somebody's going to see somebody with top surgery scars and go, that's me. And maybe it'll help them come, you know. And I think that it is really special for all kinds of people to be on that stage and everybody in the audience be able to see like all the possibilities that you can be as a dyke and more, and not, even if being a dyke is just part of your story.
Have you heard of Olivia, the travel company for lesbians and LGBTQ+ women? You know what they say. Life is short and the world is wide. And when you're a lesbian or LGBTQ+ woman, you want to be able to go on vacation, have some fun, and be yourself. Olivia Travel creates full takeovers of their cruise, resort, riverboat, and adventure vacations, so you can relax and be completely yourself. Olivia also provides the entertainment, bringing comedians and musicians from within our community. Traveling by yourself? No problem. Olivia has a robust solos program so you can travel independently, together. Single, coupled, or in a group, you'll meet amazing LGBTQ+ women who come from all walks of life yet have so much in common. Join the thousands of Olivians who travel to bucket list destinations all over the world. It's life-changing to be in the majority on your own vacation. Discover Olivia for yourself at olivia.com today.
You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. If you've ever shopped online and
Let's face it, who hasn't? Chances are you've bought something from a business powered by Shopify. You know that purple Shop Pay button you see at checkout? The one that makes buying so incredibly easy? That's Shopify. And there's a reason so many businesses sell with it, because Shopify makes things easier, and not just for shoppers. They make it easy to start and run your business. Shopify is the commerce platform behind 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. It gives you a leg up from day dot, with hundreds of beautiful ready-to-go templates to express your brand style so you can get up and running fast. You can tackle your important tasks, from inventory to payments to analytics and more, all in one place. You can also spread your brand's word with built-in marketing and email tools built for you to find and keep new customers. And remember that iconic purple Shop Pay button that's used by millions of businesses around the world? It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. Your customers already know and love it. If you want to see less carts being abandoned, it's time for you to head over to Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/realm. Go to shopify.com/realm. Shopify.com/realm. I love a multi-use beauty product, like an eye/cheek/lipstick. It makes a full face so much easier, plus you only need to bring one product along for touch-ups. And whether you're all about simple mascara and gloss, or you love to play with bold shapes and colors, you gotta have that trusty favorite you turn to for every look. Thrive Cosmetics makes certified 100% vegan and cruelty-free products you can depend on for everything from simple daily wear to show-stopping self-expression. And it's all made with clean, skin-loving ingredients, high-performance and trademarked formulas, and uncompromising standards. And Thrive Cosmetics is beauty that gives back. For every product purchased, they make a donation towards 8 major causes, including social justice organizations and those impacted by cancer and homelessness. It feels good knowing that when I purchase a product, I'm also able to give back to causes that matter to me. And one product I love from Thrive Cosmetics is the Brilliant Eye Brightener. Like I said, I love a product that can have multiple uses, and the Brilliant Eye Brightener is just that. It's an eyeshadow and highlighter stick that's super blendable, and I'm slowly but surely stocking up on the 31 shades that it comes in. Try your new trusty favorites with an exclusive set for our listeners. New customers can get the Liquid Lash Extensions mascara and a mini-sized Brilliant Eye Brightener at a special set price, with free shipping available at thrivecosmetics.com/thrive. Or save more with 20% off your first order at thrivecosmetics.com/thrive. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/thrive for 20% off your first order.
Support comes from ServiceNow. We're for people doing the creative work they actually want to do. That's why this ad was written and read by a real person and not AI. You know what people don't want to do? Boring, busy work. Now with AI agents built into the ServiceNow platform, you can automate millions of repetitive tasks in every corner of your business, IT, HR, and more, so your people can focus on the work that they want to do. That's putting AI agents to work for people. It's your turn. Visit servicenow.com.
All right, it is finally time to meet the fabulous Denise Gaylord, the brains behind the original Dyke Drag back in 1994. This was the first interview I did at Women's Week, and the only one I had actually planned ahead of time. Denise invited me into her home, where she had just started fostering a new puppy named Nutmeg, who you will hear at points chugging water, among other naughty things. Okay, so we have Nutmeg and Denise here.
That's right. So, we don't know Nutmeg's sexual preference, so we're just...
We can assume that he's fluid.
That's right. You're fluid, aren't you?
Because he hasn't been socialized out of that.
That's right. Good job.
So where would you say the big picture story starts of you creating Dyke Drag?
The drag thing, I came to Provincetown probably around 1979. And out here, it was like we were on an island, a sanctuary, really, because you had to make your way out here to get here, right? It was definitely not something you wandered into. You had to have an intention to get to the end of the earth, as they call it. And the town at that time was really filled with many shows, mostly all men, actually all men that I recall. So drag was mostly known as the drag queen. For me, well, actually, I'm going to give my friend Billy Besson a little shout out here because he was instrumental in creating a short movie called Serenity Jones. And the movie had to do with a character that he made up that was a very sad, very confused person who looked like they might be a cross-gender or they might be in drag. And he asked me to play it. And it was a very short film, maybe 18 minutes or 20 minutes. And the basic premise was that this was someone dealing with addiction and wandering around town, kind of a pathetic creature, and in the end finds her true love. So that was inspirational because we had such a good time. There was a creative energy in town. Of course, there's so many artists here and it has such a creative history. And Billy's movie was one of the things that sparked this idea that we could kind of play.
Were you a performer already?
No, actually, but it did lead to some slight performances.
Why do you think he asked you?
Because I'm sure he thought there was some part of me that had that version of myself. So kind of a pathetic, like wandering, lost soul.
Really?
Yeah.
What was like that about you at that time?
I think coming here so young and kind of dropping out of my life for about 12 or 15 years, the discovery piece was about not using addictive measures to be in the world, right? And that was part of his sub-theme, right? Just show up without destroying yourself, right? So there was this element of kind of a victim. And I'm sure he saw that in me as a friend. So I didn't have to have therapy, at least around that. So he helped create like an avenue, which of course the arts do, to kind of release that kind of piece of me.
What were you thinking and feeling while you were playing this role that you actually did identify with it?
Yeah, it was because it was done in the streets of Provincetown, and the streets are so, there's one street, as a lot of people know, it's one's main street.
Is he peeing?
Yes.
He just peed on the shoes?
He did. Yeah, he's never done that. Yeah. I know what is going on with you. You're a little like over the top today, huh? Too much. Okay. So Provincetown, the street of Provincetown is kind of like street theater anyway. Because there's a one-way street, they call it the world's longest runway. Right? So people are walking down wanting to see and be seen. And that's what we were doing shooting the film. We were going to different locations and playing, and it was probably the beginning of me realizing that performance could be a way to express. So that was the start. And, I dressed up in a female persona. Serenity Jones was her name. But when I dress up as a female, I tend to look like, a guy dressing as a girl no, wait a minute. Let me get that straight. Victoria. A woman dressing as a guy dressing as... I should have that down better. But anyway, it's about looking like a drag queen when I dressed up to be feminine.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of people assumed that's what I was, a guy that was dressing in as a woman.
Was that the character in the film, or you're saying this happened afterwards? You started dressing up as this Serenity?
Yeah, this was the character in the film.
Okay.
Serenity Jones. Yeah.
Okay. What was the actual character's like kind of gender identity and expression?
Well, it's a great question. We didn't even have those conversations back then. And so there was no they or them. There was more like, I'm going to dress up femininely, but I look like a drag queen when I do it. So that's as far as we got. And the movie was so much fun that was a start of, I think, maybe subconsciously thinking about something like that.
Was that your first time seeing that, like, people that identified as women could do drag?
Yeah, and I truthfully don't even think I looked at it as drag because I happen to have been born on Halloween. So
okay, that's fun.
Right. So, from the young age, costuming was always a freedom, right? Costuming, even, dressing up as a cigarette box or Frankenstein or whatever, there was a sense of freedom And so I grew up thinking, if you change how you look, you can change how you act. And it all kind of came together, that idea.
Remind me what year you said you first came to Ptown.
Well, it's a little vague, Sarah, but we're hanging our hat on 1979.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's vague because you're not sure, or because you were like in and out, kind of?
It was vague because there was no social media. There was no way of documenting. There weren't a lot of pictures back then. I was probably not real present in my life. I was on my way to San Francisco with my little yellow Volkswagen, and I stopped in Provincetown for the summer. So I had gone to school, grew up in Connecticut. Yeah, a white girl in Connecticut. And so, yeah, very naive, very sheltered. So traveling to San Francisco was my idea of venturing out. And Provincetown was on the list because that's, we're like five hours away by car. So, yeah, so 6 years later, the police stopped me and said, your car is registered in Connecticut. We know you live here, so you better change your plates. And I thought, yeah, I guess I live here. So that was how I made decisions.
Wow.
Yeah.
You never intended to stay for more than the summer.
Yeah.
And what was like going on that summer that kind of sucked you in?
Well, back to the white girl from Connecticut, was suddenly in this mecca of not only sexual freedom, but freedom on every level. It was still mostly a gay population, but the Portuguese community, of which there are many fishermen and also families that have been here for generations, were kind of welcoming and inclusive. So they had accepted the community as not us and them, like there would be openings for businesses because back then the seasons were extreme. It was a big deal when everything opened for the summer. And like the carpenters would show up at the gay bars because they got drinks and they would be dancing with everybody. And it was just kind of a nirvana. And that's why I stayed, really. There's a freedom here that allows people to be more who they are, in my experience. It creates an atmosphere that's a little circusy and a little bit anything can happen. Mm-hmm. And anything does, right?
What was that like for you coming for the first time and discovering what it was like here?
Well, the whole experience of being out back in the 70s was only in the bars. At least that's how I knew it. There was no permission to be that way. Like that just was not what you did because people would lose their jobs or become ostracized in many different ways. So, I went away to college and I had a sexual experience within my first freshman semester. And I remember coming back to my small hometown and going to the annual fair and walking around and thinking, I didn't know this whole world existed. And none of these people probably know this whole world exists. And just feeling like I'd been entered into a whole new, like a door had opened in another planet and nobody knew about it except select few. It was a very strange feeling. And probably other people treated it differently, but there was this closeted sense. So there wasn't a lot of expression or conversation around it. Like even going to college, the freedom of being who you were sexually happened only when you went out to gay bars. So that was the safety place, right? And we found each other kind of through sports and through the environment and the bars. So it was sports and bars.
When would you say the idea of Dykes doing drag kind of came into your life?
So there was a woman, Edel, and she was Irish. And the two of us started talking about how much fun it would be to do this. We talked to a few friends and we put up a few posters and we invited a few people and I don't know, 12 people came, 10, 15 people, and we took a lot of pictures and we had a lot of fun and we said, well, we should do this as a fundraiser or something. And so I think we maybe gave money to How. It wasn't a lot, but it was the idea that, well, we're just going to do this. And it became an annual thing.
How would you describe what the concept is?
The poster said, bend your gender.
Cool.
Yes. So the invitation/challenge was to kind of come opposite of how you perceive yourself. So if you kind of feel you fall on the feminine side, the challenge was to come masculine, and the same other way. And people did both, but to kind of force yourself into something different. There wasn't really a performance, although that did happen after I stopped doing it.
So what was it then? It was like a gathering?
It was like a gathering, yeah, and we all had lunch together, and it became an outdoor lunch, which is funny because those fabulous women from Brooklyn, that's what they're doing. They're doing Dyke Drag brunch, which is what we called it. We just went and ate.
Yeah. So when you were part of it, this is so interesting to me. When you were part of it, it was about the gender expression, and there weren't any performances. It was like anyone that was there was sort of participating in this. How did you show up?
Yeah, well, every year was different.
Yeah.
Right? The first few, I think, were the Serenity Jones image, which...
Can you describe it?
Yeah, well, it became a certain dress, which was this green kind of dress with... Oh, God, I hated wearing heels, but that was kind of heels, right? And what happened, which was very sweet, was one of the very famous drag queens in town, whose name was Blanche, who's no longer alive, passed down her wig, and I would wear that as a redheaded wig as Serenity Jones.
Passed it down specifically to you?
Yeah. What happened, too, which was kind of cool, is a lot of the guys that did drag were so generous in their time. Like I remember someone that used to do drag named Lil, who would do makeup for me and teach me how to do that, so that when you have certain makeup on your chest, and I am not really very big breasted, but like if you put shadows on your chest, it ends up looking like you're bigger than you are.
I mean, I'm very familiar with
you are?
that just from like being a teenager on the internet with small boobs.
Okay.
I've seen like YouTube tutorials.
How funny is
which
that?
I would do now if I was going out in drag, but I would never do that for the male gaze on a daily basis or whatever it was that I was doing when I was 14.
Yeah, for different reasons.
Yeah.
And like drag makeup, which is mostly done for lights at night in a dark bar.
Right.
But in a sun-baked street and commercial street.
Was it all like a positive reaction that you got? What was kind of the community feedback about the event?
Well, for me, it was positive.
Yeah.
I don't know if that meant I was completely self-absorbed in my experience or not. But what happened is a lot of the tourists, like in the fall, a lot of people go up north to see the leaves, but we would get people coming, usually older, retired, usually married, usually, kind of straight-laced, even though they knew Provincetown was a little offbeat. And they would be thrilled that there was this kind of expression, and they didn't quite understand it. That's what we got a lot. We'd be like, yes, of course you can take our picture. And they'd be like, we don't really get it. And we're like, we're just having fun. I have heard other people say that they were given a little trouble from the gay community about it. I don't know. You'd have to speak to them directly.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I saw something in here.
Yeah, somebody said that.
Denise has a copy of the book about the original Dyke Drag brunch, the one Kayla had found on the internet a couple years back. It's mostly pictures, a memory book with blurbs and quotes, and we flip through to find the section where one of Denise's friends mentions backlash from the community.
Can you read this
sure.
section?
Thank you. So this is one of the performers. Her name is Patty. She dressed a lot in male drag. And a lot of the women that did that would actually use their own hair to make facial hair. But her quote was, "Some women, lesbians in town, did not like the drag. They were very verbal and very hurtful. I was surprised and not. Change always brings things out too. And I found I didn't have the same FaceTime with these women. So we did not have time to talk it out. And at the club, the masses were mostly having fun. Women, men, dykes, fags. Those were our love names to each other and still are." Yeah.
So did you end up seeing it really like have this transformative impact on the other people doing it as well, in addition to yourself?
That was what I perceived.
Yeah.
And there are a fair number, I don't have the stats, of women that did, I found out later, like 10, 15 years later, changed genders. That wasn't the intention, and that wasn't happening for everybody, but it did give a few people full permission.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a huge part of their journey. I'm sure that was important to trans people.
Yeah, exactly. And we didn't even have that name.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is like all the more reason that I'm sure they needed that space to express it.
That's nice to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah. Have you done drag?
I have done drag, yeah. I have a good friend that's a drag queen, and she invited me to do a duet with her. I named that character Smoky Tequila, and I a couple times just went out
in that drag.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's been 3 times, I guess, and not a huge part of my life, but I've done it for sure.
And was it a female persona or a male?
No, it was male.
Male. Yeah. Didn't change your life, or did it?
No. I mean, it did. I was obsessed with it for a little bit. Presenting, I just found it exhilarating and exciting. I think when it then also is about performing and making tips and stuff in Brooklyn, that's kind of what the scene is, which is why I just then a couple times after just went out in drag. But the people in New York are performing all the time and grinding and stuff. I wasn't really interested in trying to do that.
Yeah. The drag thing came out of that sense of wanting people to play.
Yeah.
That was really my intention, that people play with something and see how it makes them different, right? I've always been fascinated by transformation and how that happens and why that happens. And a lot of time I think it happens through the hardship of life. Somebody dies or somebody gets really sick and you just think, what the heck are we doing? So the gender piece was fun because, we let people play with whatever, and they would show up differently every year. Like one year they'd be in a feminine persona and the next year they'd be more masculine. For them, that seemed to be playful, and it created the permission to use their body in that way, right? I remember dressing up as a guy one year and I had the full military thing, and I walked out of my house and my neighbor went by, my neighbor who knew me, and said, "Hello, sir." Didn't know that it was me. So there was this kind of sir, right? What does that mean? And all of a sudden I felt not just from that comment, but, and this is my own experience, there's a way that men hold themselves that's not what women do generally. There's a way that they sit differently. They take up more space, their feet are wider, their shoulders are higher sometimes. This is a big generalization, but...
Well, I'm just thinking about the way I'm sitting right now. It's so womanly. I'm literally folded into myself, crouched over. Well, I know exactly what you mean.
And it's not to make one right or one wrong, because that's not the point, but it is about expressing your body, right? And funny that clothes, or the way someone puts their hair, or the way that someone talks would make you hold space in the world differently, right? I don't know. I just think it's important to explore that, right?
How long did you continue doing it for?
I think it was 6 years, 7 years, right around there. And so by then it became a thing. What are you going to do this year? Who are you going to be this year?
Mm-hmm. After 7 years, did it continue on, or did it completely?
It did continue with a few women, not necessarily in the street, but they used it in the bars as far as a way for people to start to perform.
Yeah.
Right. So people would start to lip sync, and it was, again, full permission to come out in the bar scene and be in that safe space and then be seen. So the performance piece, I love what the young women and men and people are doing.
You mean at the brunch?
At the brunch and in New York now. I have so much respect for them. They seem incredibly aware of the community in general, and aware of their impact, and aware of people before them. And they just seem to be so much more well-rounded. It feels like I feel like we were just playing, right? We were just out here kids. Some of us were acting like we were 12, but they have a sense of how important it is. And I really appreciate that about them, and I respect it a lot.
So when did you first hear from them, the Dyke Brunch?
Well, sought me out in an email one day, and they said, "Oh, we do Dyke Drag," and we Googled it, and this book came up. Will you talk to us? I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, I'd love to. What are you doing? And it was Kayla and I'm Baby, and we got on Zoom, and I think it was still in COVID. I was so inspired and overwhelmed by their attitudes and how they were presenting themselves and how much they wanted to add to the community, and the fact that they were in one of the few gay bars left in the country. For a while, we communicated because they were trying to get into town. We had some conversations about who to connect to. They tend to give me way more credit than I deserve around it, which is very sweet and just kind of reflects what I was saying earlier about their attitude, because they work their butt off. They're doing like 7,000 times what we did, right? In a couple of, like, we did this one event once a year, and they're doing show after show after show. They're doing it, right? Big time.
You'd attend every year, I'm assuming.
I do, yeah. And some women that are here in this book that also have been very supportive to them, Diane and Sarah, they gave them a place to stay the first year. They, the three of us are going. And it's great because you and I talked about how we're trying to get, this is Women's Week, the 40th anniversary of that event, which had lost so much steam and so much momentum because so many women have left town, and they're the kind of energy that's going to bring back something positive.
What do you feel like ended up happening to this kind of lost part of you that your friend picked up on and cast you based off of? Do you feel like you ended up finding yourself?
Sarah, I think I'll be done about 20 years from now. So,
You're still looking.
I wouldn't say I'm seeking. I'd say I've found those parts of myself. It's funny to be around the women and men and people that are doing this and think, am I doing it now? Would I do it now? Because the invitation from them is always there. You should do it now. And it's funny to watch the urge change. But to answer your question, yeah, the parts have come together. And this was, I kind of want this window for anybody, right? Whether they were curious about gender or just themselves in general. Like, can you play with yourself like this, right? Can you let yourself be this free? The costuming still happens, but the Dyke Drag hasn't happened.
Like last Halloween, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been a strawberry or something, so yeah.
Thank you to our sponsor, Olivia Travel, the travel company for lesbians and LGBTQ+ women. If you like this episode, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. It really helps others discover our podcast. Cruising is produced by a small but mighty team of 3 queer women, Rachel Karp, Jen McGinnity, and me, your host and editor, Sarah Gabrielli. Our theme song is by Joey Freeman. You can find us on social media at CruisingPod and on the web at www.cruisingpod.com. Support us at buymeacoffee.com/cruisingpod.
Can you actually change your personality if you want to? How does peer pressure work, and why is it so powerful? Should you ever really trust your gut when you make a big decision? These are just a few of the topics we've recently covered on my podcast, Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and each episode of Something You Should Know covers multiple topics that are likely relevant to you. You'll discover things you can use in your life today, right now, like how to have a great conversation, how to be more courageous, the anatomy of the perfect apology, and much, much more. To date, there are over 1,000 episodes of Something You Should Know, and we've gotten over 4,000 mostly 5-star reviews. I invite you to check out Something You Should Know. Look for the bright yellow light bulb on the blue background. Something You Should Know, wherever you listen to podcasts.
I'm Amy Nicholson, the film critic for the LA Times.
And I'm Paul Scheer, an actor, writer, and director. You might know me from The League, Veep, or my non-eligible for Academy Award role in Twisters.
We love movies, and we come at them from different perspectives.
Yeah, like Amy thinks that, Joe Pesci was miscast in Goodfellas, and I don't.
He's too old. Let's not forget that Paul thinks that Dune 2 is overrated.
It is.
Anyway, despite this, we come together to host Unspooled, a podcast where we talk about good movies, critical hits,
fan favorites, must-sees, and in case you missed them.
We're talking Parasite to Home Alone.
From Grease to The Dark Knight.
We've done deep dives on popcorn flicks. We've talked about why Independence Day deserves a second look.
And we've talked about horror movies, some that you've never even heard of, like Ganja and Hess.
So if you love movies like we do, come along on our cinematic adventure.
Listen to Unspooled wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget to hit the follow button.